protection in respect of conviction for offences under Article 20. So Article 20, it grants protection against arbitrary and excessive punishment to an accused person, whether he may be a citizen or a foreigner or a legal person like a company or a corporation. In Article 20, it contains three provisions. They are no ex post facto law. This means no person he shall be convicted of any offence except for the violation of a law in force at the time of commission of the act, nor a person shall be subjected to penalty greater than that is prescribed by the law in force at the time of commission of the act. No double jeopardy. That means any person shall not be prosecuted and punished for the same offence more than once. No self-incrimination. That means a person who is accused of any offence shall not be compelled to be a witness against himself. This is no self-discrimination. All these provisions comes under Article 20. Protection of life and personal liberty. So this comes under Article 21 in the Constitution. And Article 21, it states that no person he shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to the procedure which is established by the law. This right is available to both citizens and as well as non-citizens. The Supreme Court has reaffirmed its judgment in Menaka case in the subsequent cases. It has declared the following right as a part of Article 21, that is, right to live with human dignity, right to livelihood, right to privacy, right to shelter, right to health, right to free legal aid, and so on. Right to education. Article 21A, it guarantees for right to education, and it states that the state shall provide free and compulsory education to all the children of age 6 to 14 years. This provision, it makes only elementary education a fundamental right and not higher or professional education. And also, this provision, it was added in 86 Constitutional Amendment Act 2002. This amendment, it is a major milestone in the country to aim and achieve education for all. The government described this step as the dawn of second revolution in the chapter of citizens' rights. Even before this amendment, the Constitution contained a provision for free and compulsory education for children under Article 45 in Part 4 of the Constitution. But Article 45 in Part 4, it comes under directive principles and it was not enforceable by the court. And that's why there is a scope for judicial intervention in this regard. And this amendment, it changed the entire subject of matter of Article 45 in directive principles. It now reads that the state shall endeavour to provide early childhood care and education for all the children until they complete the age of 6 years. And it is also a new fundamental duty under Article 51A. And Article 51A, it states that it shall be the duty of every citizen of India to provide opportunities for education to his child or ward between the age of 6 to 14. Protection against arrest and detention. Article 22 it grants protection to persons who are arrested or detained. And detention, it is of two types. One is punitive detention and the other is preventive detention. Punitive detention, this is to punish a person for an offense committed by him after the trial and conviction in a court. And preventive detection means the detection of a person without any trial and conviction by a court. And the purpose of preventive detention is not to punish a person for a past offense, but to prevent him from committing an offense in the future. So we can simply say that preventive detention is only a precautionary measure which is based on suspicion. And Article 22, it has two parts. In the first part, it deals with the cases of ordinary law. In the second part, it deals with the cases of preventive detention law. The first part of Article 22, that is the ordinary law, it gives certain rights on a person who is arrested or detained. That is, right to be informed of the grounds of arrest. That is, the person should be informed why he is arrested. And right to consult and be defended by a legal practitioner. That is, a person have a right to consult any of the lawyers or practitioners. Right to be produced before a magistrate within 24 hours excluding the journey time. Person who is arrested, he should be produced in a court within 24 hours of his arrest. So his journey time won't be included in that. Right to be released after 24 hours unless the magistrate authorizes further detention. If suppose a person is being arrested and it is more than 24 hours of his arrest, but the magistrate has not given any of his opinion towards this arrested person, and at that time this person has a right to be released after 24 hours for further detention. And remember, this first part in Article 22 is purely for the citizens of India and it is not available to enemy alien or a person arrested or detained under a preventive detention law. The second part of Article 22, that is preventive detention law. This law, it grants protection to persons who are arrested or detained under a preventive detention law, and this protection is available to both citizens as well as aliens. And it includes the detention of a person, it cannot exceed 3 months unless an advisory board reports sufficient cause for extended detention. If a person is arrested under preventive detention, then he cannot be in detention for more than 3 months. So after 3 months, an advisory board, it reports what should be done further. If advisory board has not given any of its opinion, then this person should be released. The grounds of detention should be communicated to the detainee. However, the facts considered to be against the public interest need not be disclosed. The person who is arrested under preventive detention, he should be informed for what reason he has been arrested, and an opportunity should be given for him to make a representation against the detention order. Article 22, it also gives some of the special permissions to the Parliament to prescribe that under certain situations and classes, a person can be detained more than 3 months as said before. And the maximum period for which a person can be detained in any classes of case under preventive detention law. The procedure should be followed by an advisory board in an inquiry. The 44th Amendment Act 1978, it has reduced the period of detention without obtaining the opinion of advisory board from 3 to 2 months. That means earlier it was 3 months of detention and now it is 2 months of detention. Right against exploitation. It deals with Article 23 and 24. Prohibition of traffic in human beings and forced labor. This is Article 23. And Article 23, it prohibits completely traffic in human beings and forced labors. Forced labors, they are also called as begars. And this right is available to both citizens as well as non-citizens. It protects the individual not only against the state but also against private persons. The term or the expression traffic in human beings means selling and buying of men, women, and children like goods, and immoral traffic in women and children, including prostitution, devadasis, and slavery. To punish these acts, the Parliament has made Immoral Traffic Prevention Act 1956. The term begar means compulsory work without remuneration, that is, without any pay. So it was most famous in the Indian system at the time of local jamindars, and sometimes they used to force their tenants to render their services without any payment. So Article 23, it prohibits other similar forms of forced labors like bonded labors. And the term forced labor means compelling a person to work against his will. That means a person may be not willing to work under him or to do that particular work, but he is being forced to do that work. And the word force means not only physical or legal force, but also force arising from the compulsion of economic circumstances. Let's say for a particular work, a minimum wage is fixed as 50 rupees, but a bonded labor is paid only 30 or 20 rupees. And this is force, and due to economic circumstance, he is being forced to work for a less amount. And in this regard, the Bonded Labor System Abolition Act 1976, the Minimum Wages Act 1948, and the Contract Labor Act 1970 and an Equal Remuneration Act 1976 were made. And Article 23, it also provides certain exemptions to this provision. This article, it permits the state to impose compulsory service for public purpose. For example, this article is exempted for military service or social service which is not bound to pay. And however, in imposing such service, the state shall not permit to make any discrimination on the grounds only of religion, race, caste or class, etc. Prohibition of employment of children in factories, etc. comes under Article 24. And Article 24, it prohibits the employment of children below the age of 14 years in any factory, mines or any other hazardous activities like construction of work or railways. But it does not prohibit their employment in any harmless or innocent work. The Child Labor Prohibition and Regulation Act 1986, it is the most important law in this direction. And along with this, there are many other acts like the Employment of Children's Act 1938 and the Factories Act 1948, the Mines Act 1952 and the Merchant Shipping Act 1958, and so on. All these acts, it prohibits the employment of children below certain age. In 1996, the Supreme Court directed and established a Children Labor Rehabilitation Welfare Fund in which the offending employer, that means an employer who makes the small children as an employee and makes them to work, should deposit a fine of rupees 20,000 for each employed child by him. And it also issued a direction for the improvement of education, health and nutrition of that children. In 2006, the government, it banned the employment of children as domestic servants or workers in business which is established in hotels, dhabas, restaurants, shops, and so on. It warned that anyone employing a children below 14 years of age, they would be liable for the prosecution and penal action. Child Labor Amendment 2016. The Child Labor Prohibition and Regulation Amendment Act 2016, it amended the Child Labor Prohibition and Regulation Act, which was earlier in 1986. Child Labor Amendment, it renamed the Principal Acts as the Child and Adolescent Act 1986. The Amendment Act, it prohibits the employment of children below 14 years in all the occupation and in any profession or process. Earlier, this prohibition, it was only for 18 occupations and 65 processes. And further, the amendment, it prohibited the employment of adolescent, that is 14 to 18 years of age, in certain hazardous occupations and companies. And the Amendment Act, it also introduced more harsh punishment for the offenders. It is an imprisonment of 6 months to 2 years or a fine up to 20,000 to 50,000, and in some cases both. In case of repeated offences, the imprisonment is 1 year to 3 years.